Good morning, guys. Welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, episode 53. And yeah, happy belated Christmas to everybody out there. Especially the ones who had to spend it, by themselves or now with friends or family. I made several calls yesterday to just people that I know who are um in the military or just, they moved and they don't have anybody else to spend the holidays with. So I went out of my way to, you know, make sure that they're okay. Um, yeah, man. Yesterday, it was good. Yesterday was good. Um, as I get older, I realize that I don't want anything monetary, gift wise, or anything like that. It's like I think what I got yesterday, I got a bunch of undershirts and a couple pairs of socks, and I was stoked about that. So and I got some new slacks for work, so I'm cool. Other than that, man, it's hot. It's hot. I figure I give it a couple minutes to cool down, but it's still hot. Yeah. Other than that, man, Christmas, it was fun, man. It was, um, spent the day watching sports as usual. As you guys noticed last week when I talked about my dad and I got emotional about that, I was actually thinking about yesterday, last week, and that's the one thing that all three of us used to do. Me and my brother and him, we used to sit there and watch sports all day. You know, right? When I say all day, I mean all day. Um, but yeah, man, I worked on some music, sampled some stuff. I'm still waiting on my mixer to come in, so we can actually get it popping. Think I might change a couple tracks on the album. I'm not too sure because when I posted that to my Booth Music Production music page, I said that's subject to change. And some of the tracks they might make it, some of the tracks they may not. Um, it may be less tracks, it may be more tracks. I haven't really made up my mind yet. It depends on how much I can get done and how much I can mix and master. So, but other than that, man, I had a couple phone calls, or not phone calls, but just text messages that I got from people that I wasn't expecting to get from, and it simply said that, hey, I hope you and your family have a Merry Christmas, love, and they sent it with a blue heart, and so it's like, but that particular individual, that's what we used to do, whenever we was before we started, before we had our bullshit falling out, I mean? It's like, and like that's one thing that me and her used to do a lot, like I remember one time she said like that mutual trust and love that we got is irreplaceable. And I said, yeah, the only two people who can break it, you know, or damage it is us. And so yeah, there's that. I wasn't expecting her to to send me a text on Christmas, but it was nice of her. In terms of her and everything, yeah, man, it's been an interesting year. It's been a year that I've learned more than I thought I've learned. You know, I've learned more about myself. I've learned more about other people. And I've also learned too that other people can come back around, um, good and bad. And I've learned one thing: this to be fluid. Be fluid in every situation. Bruce Lee once said, "Flow like water." If you can't go through it, go around it. If you can't go over it, go under it. Like you just have to be fluid. Like you have to be just fluid in the situations because you never know what and it got me thinking back to last year, particularly around January, February. My life was a lot different, a lot different. And I'm not saying that that it was all good, all bad. It was just different. Um, and I haven't, I still have to do my New Year's realization list. I still have to do that. I'm gonna get that done probably sometime this week. Try to get it done before New Year's. But yeah, man. Holidays, bro. It's ever since I lost my dad. It's been kind of weird. And the older I get, the more I realize like I don't need fucking 15,000 gifts, or I don't need fake conversations. You know what I need is what I got. What I got is what I need. And it's like that's just peace, love, and I'm content with that. I'm content with just having what I have, man. I don't. As you guys can see, the setup behind me is I'm still working on some shit. I'm still waiting on some music equipment to come through, and it's just like it's gonna come. You know, it's gonna it's gonna it's gonna get here. It's gonna be here in a matter of moments or whatever it is. And once that happens, man, it's like all the shit that's in here, all the shit that's in my pad, it's gonna hit this booth, and it's gonna like the project I've been working on, the shit in my head that I've been thinking about is it's gonna come out, on this mic over here, and it's probably gonna be the most rawest shit that y'all ever heard. And it's been a minute since I released a track or did anything like that. Hell, it's been almost a fucking decade to think about it. Yeah. I remember back in the day when I would just I was giving my shit away for free. You know, I had a track list and everything. I wrote it down. I think I gave it to like 10 people. You know, and it's like and like that shit was just so raw and just so like not angry, but you can tell I was going through some shit. You know, I was what 21, 22. I thought I knew everything. I ain't no shit. And came out with them records, man, and it's like some of this shit is like, oof. Especially that track Castle Walls, man. That shit was rough. I remember recording that, I remember recording that track Castle Walls remix, and I'm like, I don't know if I should put this out. And and yeah, that made the album, and it's like people were looking at me like, what? Yeah, and yeah, man, crazy times, bro. But I'm gonna get up off here because I'm not really just talking about anything in general. I'm just reminiscing and shit. And yeah, man. But my tidbit to you, or my advice to y'all is don't get mad at situations, dog. It's like take your emotions out of the situations and realize that this other person, or this other group of people were trying to teach you something that you haven't learned yet. And so when people try to teach you stuff, man, and it's like be open to it, and take constructive criticism along with that as well, because they're trying to make you better. If not for them, for somebody else who deserves a better version of you. This one brother that I talked to on his podcast, he does a live a couple times a week. Real insightful dude, just real thoughtful. Brother's name is Latarius Whitfield, and he said, a person should never, a man should always pursue but never persuade. And what he meant by that is like if you gotta say all this shit like, oh, what about me? I'm a good dude. Give me a shot. This and this and that. Yada yada. Bro, if you're doing all that, that means number one that you ain't a good dude, and number two that you're being desperate. You know, and at the end of the day, man, saying all that shit, if you saying all that shit, that means your actions ain't, then they're not leading up to what you're verbally attesting yourself to be. And and when he said that, it kind of made me think of me. I mean, not in a bad way, but it just made me think of all the times I would say that to girls when I was coming up, like, yo, like, I'm a good dude, this and that, and yada yada yada. And I honestly thought that it was strictly because of the limp, because of the physical disability. Because as y'all know, you go back in the, you go back in, I think it's a episode 35 through 40, where I spent like a whole week, or a whole month just talking about CP. And I honestly thought for the longest time it was just that. And I'm not saying that that didn't play a role, but most people think that I'm a standoffish type of dude, but I'm really not. I'm just cautious of who I talk to. I'm friendly to everybody. Don't get that wrong. But there's very few people out there who I'm gonna let in, who I'm gonna just drop that guard for, And so there's that, man. And one thing I realized too is like, if you single out there doing your thing, and and there's nothing wrong with you talking to different people doing your thing, because hey, you're not in a relationship with nobody, right? Never put your eggs in one basket. Yeah, because you never know when it's gonna end, and when the communication ends, yeah, it's just better out just to focus on something else, and or focus on your passion, your hobbies, whatever it is. And um, when I had began talking to Shorty, I was actually talking to like three other girls at the same time. That she was, you know, but like me and her was strictly on some homie shit. It was like, that's my homie, that's my girl, whatever it is. And then like the dynamic between us switched, and I was like, oh, okay, let's give this a shot. And not that I stopped talking to other females, but I started talking to her a lot more than I was talking to everybody else. And then when that shit ended, I was like, oh, okay. And the other people came back around. I was like, bet, you know. And now she's trying to figure out what she wants, and I'm like, nah. And the way I look at it is like, you had your opportunity, and for whatever reason, you didn't want it. And so I'm gonna keep it pushing, I'm gonna keep it moving, and it's all love on my end. But no, I don't go backwards. I don't chase people. I don't. It's like, if you want to holler at a nigga, come holler at me. I mean, it's like, I ain't that hard to get a hold of, not that hard to communicate with. And it's like, at the end of the day, man, it's like, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna believe in me, like my man Kobe in the back said. It's like, if you don't believe in you, nobody else will. And at the end of the day, man, with her, dog, it's always gonna be love. You know, that's my homie, that's my confidant, man. It's like, and if and when she does see this, it's like, she's gonna be like, damn, like, my dude still got love for me. No doubt, no doubt. You know, cause with her, man, she taught me so much. Like I said earlier, when I said about being fluid, that's 100% her. You know, she would always tell me like, yo, like, you need to stop looking at shit being so rigid. Start being more fluid. Just look at the situation for what it is. And she's like, as much as I love you, she's like, there's some things that you do that just, drive me bonkers. Like, I overthink things too much. And it's true. It's like, I'm working on that. And I'm trying to look at the situation for what it is, and it's like, I want to thank her for that, because like, yo, even if we never talk ever again, I want to thank you for helping me, to get better. I want to thank you for helping me understand better, understand myself better, understand people better. I want to thank you for all that, because without you, you know, I probably would have been walking around blaming you for all this shit and not realizing, not wanting to come to realizations that I had a play in this as well. So I want to thank you for that because it's all love, man. Like I was telling a partner last night, I was like, I don't want to leave her. I don't want to leave her in 2021, but I want to leave the bullshit. I want to leave the feelings that I had for her in 2021 because when I say that, it's like, yo, when I say leave the feelings in 2021, like I know now that it was never meant to be what I wanted it to be. It was just strictly what it was, is what it was gonna be, and now it's that. And at the end of the day, man, like I said, I hate to keep repeating myself, but I want to thank it, man. I'm like, without us meeting, at the time that we did, you know, during the traumatic time that we did, in both our lives, professionally and personally, um, we in a way we bonded, but we also taught each other lessons too, and it's like um we use each other as a soundboard for certain situations and certain for certain people and everything too. And I'm like, I'm always grateful for that, man. I'm always gonna be grateful for that because, like I said, like she's taught me so much, man. And it's like I genuinely love that girl. You know, I love her for who she helped me become. It's like for the next person who gets this version of me, who gets this version of Mikey. It's like they're gonna be like, damn, like, hey, like I can't pinpoint it, but like yo, you exactly what I wanted. I'm gonna be like, hey, we're all a work in progress, man. It's like, and at the end of the day, it's I don't want to say that's all because of Shorty, but she helped me. She helped me figure out who I was, who I wanted to be, and she helped me get there. And but not everybody can stay for the journey, man. So hey, sis, it's all love. Like I told you before, I got you to the tune. I'll holler at y'all next week. Goes.